everyone. Welcome to another episode of Unbox Live. I'm your host, Rob Gagne. And today we are talking all about Cigar Smoking World Championship. Now, it's also known as CSWC. And what is this, you might say? It's super kind of niche, already in a very niche market of cigars. And it's smoking a very small Mareva. This is a size Rocky Patel cigar. And this cigar probably should only take you 30 to 40 minutes to smoke and have an enjoyable smoke. And now the trick is to slow smoke this as long as you can. And these guys are getting it over 3 hours long. It's ridiculous. It's fun. It's competitive. It's painful. And it's interesting more than anything that I've ever heard in the cigar industry. So to bring on some people, first I want to bring on Ben Wills. Ben, thank you so much for joining me from Los Angeles. This is going to be a very unique discussion. And we also have Vlad from Castegli Cigars. He is also a competitor and a judge now of the Cigar Smoking World Championships. Thank you both for joining me.
Hey.
Hey, Rob. Hey, Ben.
Yeah, this is a very interesting topic. Let's get into it. So, first and foremost, you can only straight cut the cigar. That's the only thing you can do. And you have to light it with only 2 matches in less than 1 minute. Ben, are you with me on this? Sounds crazy.
I mean, I hear you. Am I with it? No, because I have a whole cute little box of matches over here, and I keep reaching for my lighter. So,
I know. And this cigar, the box obviously comes packaged with Boveda. In fact, when they started introducing Boveda about 3 years ago, the time went from about 2 hours, just over 2 hours, to over 3 hours in smoking length. So now the cigars are smoking longer because they're better humidified, and it's setting a whole different tone for the whole game. The cigars are extremely small, you guys. This is a 42 ring gauge. It's only 5 and about an eighth long. And you really only, unless you want to risk it, you really only have 9 centimeters to smoke from the foot all the way to the bottom of the band. And all the bands are fixed, so there's no moving of the band. They're glued on there with the same glue that they use for the gluing of the cigar.
Wait a minute. Time out.
What?
Wait. So it really doesn't move. Like, no, I can't move the finish line.
Because you can't let people cheat, right? They're going to cheat by doing this. They're going to cheat by blowing on it. They're going to cheat by using their phone as infrared. There's all sorts of cheats. Vlad, you're a judge. What are you seeing as the number one cheats out there?
Probably people trying to, wet the cigar a little bit.
Like lick their fingers and then touch.
Yeah. That was a big thing early on, and that got axed pretty soon as we saw people doing it. The 2 matches thing is actually, there's a historical reason for it. So The first time Marco ever competed with his buddies, it started off as a joke, as a friendly competition. They only had two matches between them, hence the 2-match rule.
Okay.
So when they initially lit up, it was a Monty 4, and they were trying to see who was going to be able to smoke it more, or longer rather. They only had those 2 matches. So when the rule book started coming around, the 2-match rule was just made a thing. So there's a very historic reason why it's only two matches. Same thing with the cutter, right? They only had a straight cutter, so they're like, okay, this is how we're starting it. This is going to be the rules going forward.
And Leif and Lam is the official straight cutter. That's the one that I'm going to use just because I have one, but you can use any straight cut. So as long as you have a straight cut, you go for it.
I got one too!
Awesome. That's the official cutter. I'm going to cut this because I want to get into this. Can you quick mute?
Okay, wait.
Real quick. Thank you.
Okay.
Some
Okay.
feedback
So.
responses.
Okay, so I'm not a Boy Scout, and I know that Pierre's gonna hate me, but I've never actually used this little groove to cut my cigar
So-
because I'm scared to cut my finger. So
This-
can I peel it like a potato?
Yes. Right, Vlad?
I can.
You, Judge?
Can
Judge?
I? Can I?
I mean, yeah, there's as long as you use a straight cut, there's no specific ruling against how deep or how little you want to cut it. Obviously, if you cut it too deep, there's going to be unraveling issues and things like that, which aren't going to work in your favor. But yeah, potato peel away.
Great.
Okay, let's see.
So
Let's
the
see what
reason
happens.
they don't allow V cuts and punches and all that stuff is just basically for historic reasons. It's not like a different reason, right, Vlad?
That's probably the right case. I do think that both punch and V cut tend to change the way you smoke a little bit, right? So your V cut will hit the roof of your mouth and expand. The punch is going to hit the back of your throat and then go forward, while the straight cut basically hits the middle of your palate and expands around. So, as far as burn, I would probably say they all affect it a little bit. As to how much, um, I don't know. In terms of over 4 hours of smoking, I don't. I've never done any kind of a comparison. I don't think anybody else has, to be honest. Primarily because I think it's just historic reasons and kind of even the playing field.
Sure. Now, are they able to touch the rest of the cigar and feel if there's any hard spots or anything like that?
Absolutely, absolutely. So you pick your own cigar, right? They all come out of a box. Typically, usually present them on a beautiful silver tray or straight out of the box, and whatever you pick, it's on you. You can check each cigar. If you think there's a better option, you can switch it out. And once you pick, that's it. You have 1 minute from that moment once everybody's picked their cigar. You have 1 minute to cut and prepare the cigar, right? Which is plenty of time. So you can use one match. You can use both. You can only light it once, right? So just to be on the safe side, you use both matches at the same time, and you go from there. The
So
burning
wait,
time,
you can only light it once, or can you light it as many
No.
times as this 60
Nope.
seconds allow?
Nope, only once.
Really?
Only once.
So I have to keep these two matches lit long enough to do what I. So once they go out,
Once they go
That's
out,
it.
that's it.
You can use one match at a time.
no, you
yeah.
said using both, right?
No,
You can use. Yeah, you can use
one at a
during
time.
the 1 minute. Yeah, you can do it. No,
Within 1 minute, you could light it as many times as you want. Keep touching
You
it up.
can't. You only gotta light it once, basically, and that's it. So it's a
But
one.
in the first minute, Vlad, I can touch up.
Oh yeah. Of course.
I
Yeah,
got
of
a
course.
minute. To do
Yeah,
it.
of course. Sorry, I didn't quite catch the exact nature of the question. Yeah, of course you can. Obviously toast it and make sure that it works. Absolutely.
Okay, let's light.
All right, let's do it.
This.
I'm not ready. I'm just letting you know right now.
Okay, so I'll time it in 1 minute once you guys are ready.
I'm ready.
So wait.
I gotta. Can I have the match out, or do I need to put it in the box?
No, you can have it out just
Okay.
when you're ready.
So
Okay.
wait, are we,
Hands off a few seconds.
Rob? Are you using one match or two?
Well, I have the option to use two, but I'm going to start with just one. I don't need to light both.
I would suggest lighting both.
Why would you say that?
So, it's good.
Time?
Yeah, if you spend, oh, that's how I did it. So don't listen to me.
Yeah, he's not a winner. Just don't listen to Vlad. He didn't get.
No, the best time I ever had was like an hour and change, hour 42. So I'm way out. All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, go.
It screeches.
I can't even put my matches together. Oh my god.
You're doing great, man.
I do not know if I'm doing this right. I'm not doing it right.
It's okay. You got 30 seconds to fix it. If they go out, they go out.
I think I'm really
Okay.
happy with that. But I'm right just in case.
All right. You got 5 seconds. That's it. Put your matches away. All right.
Oh,
This is
I'm
the
hot.
Official
I'm
competition time. Official competition
Let
time.
me let me interject here. Vlad, I've already talked to Mark. Mark or Marco Bilic?
Village. Village.
Great pronunciation. Thank you. I've already talked to him. I don't like the fact that there's no regulation on the length because if you notice, I mean, here's 2 long matches and they're totally different lengths. So I want
That's a good one.
regulation.
That's a good one.
Regulation matches, and I want them sold with every box. Boom.
Okay. Done. All right. That's a good one. That's a good one. So a couple of things you're not allowed to do. For the first 5 minutes, you're not supposed to talk. Most people, that's kind of like.
Can't do that here.
I know. So for the first time you're doing this, it tends to be kind of a little awkward. But everybody starts concentrating and doing their own thing, and the 5 minutes passes really, really fast. In those 5 minutes, the preparation time is included. So the cutting and the lighting. So realistically, it's like 3. You're not allowed to blow through your cigar, right? So you can't blow through it, and then make it wet, like I talked. That's one of the most obvious ways to kind of cheat. And you're not allowed to put it down, so you have to keep your cigar in your hand the entire time. Now, that being said, you can keep it however you want. You can keep it diagonal. You can keep it upside down. You can't keep it behind your ear, but that's kind of the idea. Like you have to keep. Yeah, Ben can probably pull it off. So the other thing is you can't use anything to cheat, right? So you can't use like your phone to see how fast it's burning. If there's smoke, your wristwatch, like smartwatches and stuff, right? So there's a bunch of rules that are continuously evolving due to people finding new and creative ways to gain an advantage. Let's call it that. So the cigar itself is smoked up all the way down to the competition ring. Now, if you burn the ring, you incur a penalty. However, the ring is allowed to brown. As long as there's no actual burning of the ring, it can change color. And once it gets to that point, it gets super exciting because it's literally seconds.
But we skipped over the ashing. You can't ash in the first 40 minutes.
So in the first 40 minutes, you get 45 minutes. You get you get penalties, right? They change, and I have to look up to the rule book off the top of my head. So it goes basically you get a 20-minute penalty if it falls in the first 20. You get a 15-minute penalty if it falls in the first 15. So there's a guy. The first time I did it in Chicago was 2016. His cigar went out and his ash fell like 17 seconds in. So his current record is minus 19 minutes and 43 seconds.
So this says 20 minutes. So in the first 10 minutes, if you ash, it's 20-minute penalty.
Yep.
20
so
minutes,
you
15, 25, it's 10, and it only goes up to 40 minutes. After 40 minutes, you can ash.
Yes, and that comes to such an interesting moment. So the ash protects your cigar, right? It keeps it lit. It also gives you, it makes it burn slower.
Right.
But at the same time, it also makes it much more difficult because you might go out, right? You're getting less oxygen, and it's much harder to figure out if it's actually burning or not. Now, on the flip side...
Hasn't been a minute yet. Can I puff?
Yeah, you can puff. Yeah, we started.
I don't like this game.
You've been you've been waiting like 4 minutes. I'm puffing like every minute and a half.
Yeah. So my strategy is puff about every minute 10, minute 15. Take a proper puff, and again, you can just keep it lit, which is kind of the objective, right? A couple of issues that people typically do just from the way they smoke, right? So when it starts going out, and it will at some point, even if you are in such a good rhythm, it will start going slightly out. Most people try and take multiple puffs, so they'll go like, go ahead.
That's what I did yesterday, and it went out. It almost went out, and I got it back. And then at minute 55, it just went out.
Okay, so exactly. What you should do, what really happens, right? It introduces a lot of oxygen. So think of a small little fire that's just starting. If you take something to kind of like introduce more oxygen, you're going to do the opposite. You're basically going to make it go out. You do the same thing with the cigar. So what you really want to do is you want to take super slow, long puffs. So rather than do, you want to do one like long puff, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Like a real romantic rom-com kiss, right?
Exactly. So just really long one.
Slow and intimate.
Yep. So the ring burning gives you the 15 minutes, right? Which we talked about earlier. So your first real decision, tactical decision, is going to be whether or not to ash at 40 minutes.
I did. I ashed at 45 minutes yesterday when I did this, and it was about a third of the way through the overall length, and probably about 35 to 40% to the band.
That's great. I mean, you did really well then.
Yeah, I was surprised that I got that long. I was thinking
Rob is showing off. He cheated.
No, I totally cheated.
He was not supposed to smoke yesterday. I didn't even get the phone call. Yo, let's try this out.
Hey man, I had the boxes delivered to you early. You choose. I'm not going to give my competitor the advantage, but you choose what you want to choose.
So question, Vlad, really quickly. Out of all the photos that I saw, literally almost everybody was holding their cigar upright versus this way. So what is it about holding it this way that makes people believe that it's going to last a little longer?
It's just the ash. In my opinion, you're just trying to make sure the ash stays in line and doesn't fall off. After that, it doesn't matter.
Witchcraft, but Rob is right. So definitely want to preserve the ash. Funnily enough, when we did the competition in Pasadena a couple of years back, the cigar started canoeing on the side. And the guy goes, I mean, am I still in? Like, is this a thing? So basically, the entire right side of his cigar is just not burning at all. And I go, yeah, man, like, that's good.
It's not doing it. No, it's not. It's going out. I can feel it in my spirit.
So take a long, slow puff. So the guy tips his cigar upside down. We were past 40 minutes at this point. So he tips his cigar basically like this, right? And it starts burning upwards. So it starts burning from the bottom of the band all the way up because
brilliant
reasons. And the guy got an extra 20 or 30 minutes out of that alone. As long as the cigar is lit, I mean, you're in. So he ended up placing, I think, third, which is fantastic. Also taught me a really, really cool trick. Once you get to, so there's a couple other things you really want to do to the cigar. Once you get past the 40 minutes, it's really like I said, a tactical decision. I would suggest looking around the room. Not that you should look at your competition because you are competing against yourself, but again, you look around the room and say, okay, Ben's got me a little bit. She's got a little bit less ash, but she's burnt less of the cigar. She might be a competitor. Am I gonna, hope that she goes out, or am I going to keep trying to smoke my cigar longer, right? So at that point, let's say you decide to ash just because you're not sure if the cigar is still lit, and you want to see it. A lot of people will hold it close to the actual, close to close to the actual burn line, just to see how it's doing. Right? Is it hotter?
So you can touch up here by the burn line.
You can hold it. You can't lick your fingers or
Right.
anything like that. But if you want to see if it's still lit, that's acceptable, right? So
Okay.
So
Uh,
what's the indicator? Just that it's hot?
yeah, as long as it's hot, it should be lit. However, you also have to see that the wrapper is burning, right?
No, I feel like I'm only smoking filler right now. Okay.
So there is a moment where the point is, I'm not good enough to pull this off, but I know theoretically how to do it. Once you get closest to the ring, right? If you burn the ring, it turns into a 15-minute penalty. But
that's a lot, by the way. 15 minutes, you guys, when it gets down to the end of this competition, these guys are seconds away from each other. So even a minute could send you out.
It is. And because the prizes are so good, depending on the competition, right, they'll be thousands of dollars. So if you're neck and neck, first or second place, and you come down to the ring, your question is, am I going to risk it for the biscuit, right? Go all in and try to get the first prize, or I'm going to tap out and take the second spot, because if I burn the ring, not only do I lose the second spot, I lose the third spot, fourth spot, and probably fifth spot. Unless you're really, really good.
That's a good point. So when I get to the ring, I have a choice. I can raise my hand, my time stops, they record it, and Rob, you're locked in at that time. Or I can risk it and try to just smoke the filler and not smoke the wrapper and burn it. And some guys do it for another 40 minutes.
Absolutely. It's
another 40 minutes.
So what in the leprechaun hell do you have to do to switch from smoking the wrapper to
short
filler?
puffs? Short, tiny little puffs, so you don't ignite that full ember. You want a little tiny ember going the whole way through. Like a Pac-Man. Short, little tiny.
You nailed it. So, right, you have your cigar like this, and with your filler and binder aside, right? Well, this is not the best explanation. Okay. I had to notice that one. All right, so filler's in the middle, right? You have your binder and wrapper on the outside. The filler is going to be the one that's burning regardless. The binder has better combustion, or should have better combustion, and you have the wrapper on the outside. As you're puffing it slowly, right, when your cigar, when you said it's almost going out, under quotes, so really, what you should be trying to do is take shorter puffs and make sure that the rest of it is ignited, right? So your cigar is not burning perfectly. It could be lighting.
Smoke? Does Ben even have smoke?
Let's see it. Ben, take a puff.
You have to take a puff.
Take a puff, Ben.
I can't because it's out.
Yes.
Good job, Ben. You got 11 minutes.
The 11 minutes I win.
Okay. I got
you can still lose, Rob. You know what? If you ask now, she could probably still catch up and win.
Exactly. See, but she can't relight it. So
wait.
Right now, I have to get to the 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So I don't get any penalties.
Yeah. So go ahead. So your cigar can go out and you ash, and I might still win anyway.
Well, if Rob breaks 20 minutes. Well, no, if he breaks 25 minutes, he's fine. So he's got another 12 minutes to go.
So I have a question about, so mine is out. And for the record, I'm going to relight this because I'm not wasting this cigar. but, okay, so it's out. Clearly, it was only the filler, I believe, was only burning, not the wrapper. So maybe I was puffing it too slow. But then too, as I'm touching it to see if it's warm, my wrapper is so hard. Like, is that because of the matches? Is it the slow smoking? Like, what causes the wrapper?
Mexican San Andreas wrapper is thick. But it's like really thick and heavy, like leather almost.
This is rock solid till about. This is like 1.5 inches. Like, it is hard. I'm gonna have to cut this all the way down here to start over.
No,
can we talk about that.
I don't think it's. I don't have the cigar in front of me, so it'd be it'd be hard to do, telehealth and like figure out the diagnosis over video. Um, it could be, Sandress is a thicker wrapper. It could be the rolling, it could be transport, it could be a myriad of things. But realistically, I think you weren't puffing enough.
Right.
You really should get into, especially early on, you should get into this rhythm of taking a puff a minute. And the easiest way to do it is when we're starting the competition, right? We'll typically wait until X00. So if you have a watch, a wristwatch, you can take a look at it and be like, okay, every minute I'm going to puff. Now, the other thing is if you spend a lot of time practicing, you'll get into it naturally, and you'll start getting hour and a half out of your Coronas and 2.5 hours out of your Lanceros.
That's what I want to ask right there, Vlada. How many times do you practice before a competition? And maybe I should ask, how many competitions have you done?
I've done 4. Yeah, 4.
So how many times have you practiced before each one of those competitions?
I would love to say daily, but realistically 0. I tend to slow very, I want you to think, I tend to smoke very slowly, provided that I'm actually concentrating on the cigar. I will get, hour and a half to 2 easily out of a Lancero. Like a Solomon will be a 2.5, 3 hour smoke for me if I'm doing it right. So really slow puffs. You take 1 puff a minute, and the way I train myself was, you get a big book, and I tend to read a little bit faster. So about every page and a half, I take a puff, and you go from there.
That's a good tip. Read a book while doing this, and however fast you read, halfway through the page, take a puff.
Exactly.
Full through the page, take a puff. I love that. So are you practicing with this cigar or just any cigar?
I would, if I'm practicing, I would practice with a Mareva. So that would be the size. It's right. There's a lot of other things that impact it when you go to a 660 or a Lancero, right? Like a lot of different things change it. So smoking a Mareva or a Corona is really what's the best way to do it.
So you're trying to stick with a small ring gauge cigar, and probably around the 5 inches, but Lanceros can get up to 7.
Yeah. So it's mostly in general, right? I wasn't practicing specifically for the competition. I'm a big believer in the slower you enjoy your cigar, right? It's not a race. It's not a sprint. It's an enjoyable leisurely stroll through the countryside with, you act like you're walking down through the countryside as a Disney princess, right? Love for all the creatures of the world, and you have the little birdies helping you with your hair, maybe not mine, but still, right? So you want to enjoy your entire experience, because ultimately, we don't spend a lot of time, and now I'm on my little soapbox. We don't spend a lot of time really being aware of things and concentrating on stuff, right? So even if you give that cigar an extra 10 or 20% of your attention, 20%, some attention is massive.
Right. When
and
smoking cigars.
Yeah, and you slow it down and you say, oh, what's the smoking time? Enjoyment time. It really is. Take your time and just enjoy it long and slow.
When you started this and practicing, what posed as the most difficult hurdle to overcome in this process?
Probably staying focused and not.
So it's actually the focus. You have to mentally.
Yeah. So I went out because I had a super interesting conversation with the guy 2 seats next away from me, and we're smoking, right? I'm taking my puffs, and we ended up getting into this super interesting discussion, which I can't even remember. I just remember it being super interesting. And we started laughing about it, and I took a puff and was out hour 42, which was funny. I was like, damn, I had a shot of getting in the top 5 or whatever, and then not only was the world record broken, it was the U.S. record and the world record broken in the same competition. It's 3 hours. At that point, I was 259 or something like that. And I'm like, oh, I wasn't. Like, never mind. The funny portion after that night, so we're all in, it was a black tie event. And we ended up drinking and having fun and laughing, right? So we leave at like 2 a.m. in the morning. And we go to this place in Chicago called Velvet Taco. And there's this like 20-year-old kid in there, cleaning up. It's empty. There's no one in the store. All of a sudden, like 14 people in tuxedos roll in. It's like, the fuck?
Yeah, you got 14 cigar smokers that have all just been competing for the last 3 hours.
Yeah.
Starving.
Yeah, we just jumped into taco. It was awesome. But yeah, I mean, the biggest hurdle is probably staying focused.
What was the easiest hurdle to overcome? And you were like, oh man, that made a huge difference in my cigar smoking.
The rhythm.
The rhythm.
Really, just getting the rhythm right. That was super, super. Now, I don't want to call it easy because it's not, right? It does require you to focus and consistent. You have to adjust it, right? If I started with a minute 15, I might up it to a minute 5 or a minute itself if I have to keep it going a little bit, right?
How long have I been doing this for now?
You are at 21 minutes and 34 seconds.
So am I in the win zone?
So, don't nobody care?
No, wait, no, not yet. You need another 4 minutes. You need another 4 minutes.
So what? I don't know if we covered this. How many people enter the initial competition?
It depends.
And how many of those?
It depends, right? So we've had competitions where it was like, we did the one in Pasadena, it was like 80 people.
So just to be clear, Ben, there are 15 U.S. qualifying locations before the finals on the 28th of this month at Pittsburgh, Rocky Patel's Pittsburgh location. That's the U.S. finals. So all of the 14 locations across the United States, whether it's 30 or 80 people competing, the finalists go on to Pittsburgh, right, Vlad?
Correct. So the finalist not only wins the prizes, but they also get their ticket covered, right? Their actual participation fee for the finals. I have to double check what the prizes were, but typically you get your expenses paid for the split finals in case you win the U.S. one, along with any of the prizes. Now the prizes themselves, depending on the event, there's a couple of $1,000s worth of prizes usually, really, really nice ones, and probably 2018 split finals tend to be very, very special. Marco puts on a phenomenal show every year, and again, the prizes are different every year and something always unique.
Now the finals, so everyone in the United States that qualifies is going to Pittsburgh for another competition of about 30 to 40 guys?
Yeah, probably another. I'd probably say about 50 people. Probably my estimate.
People. I don't mean guys in gender.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. I would obviously.
And then
PC.
From there, those top 3 go on to Croatia, and the town is called Split.
So I would. I'm not sure how is. I'm not
or is it
sure.
Just number 1?
So I'm not sure how it's going to set up this year because of Corona. And this is, Marco just announced it a week ago or so. This is my first time actually going to the finals as a guest and a judge. But it's typically the number 1 competitor, the number 1 prize winner, right? The one who won the U.S. They get their trip is taken care of, and they show up to Split. The other qualifying winners, from my understanding, I'm not sure if Corona changed anything because I'm just not. I think they get their ticket covered, so if they show up to Split, right, you cover all your trip expenses. You don't have to pay whatever it is as part of the qualifiers, right? So you get a double prize in the quotes. I believe that's the case. I have to double check that with Marco, which I probably should have done my due diligence before.
No, that's all right. But essentially, it is. You're doing these regional competitions. The number 1 people or the top people from there going on to the finals. Then the finals, again, weeding out the competition, getting down to the top, and then they go on to the World Championship in Split, Croatia.
Correct. That's kind of the idea.
And they're doing
That's pretty
finals
sweet.
all over from all 39 countries are participating in this.
Yeah. So 2019 was, I believe, Marco's biggest season. I think he did something like 117 events in like 50 countries, 40 something countries.
Wow.
Obviously, 2020 really threw a wrench in the works, and then 2021 wasn't that much better. But again, it was, obviously not a lot of in-person events and stuff like that. But I think it's realistic to have about 100 events around the globe, which is massive, truly, truly massive. And then the finals themselves are limited to a small number, relatively. There's a limited number of people that can attend both the parties, and there's a reason behind it. A, it's meant to be kept relatively intimate. B, it's very well pointed and high end, just from watching the pictures and for people who have been there. I think the big thing with the competition and the finals themselves, if you go once, you're hooked. And I've seen this multiple times where we've done the first event and it's kind of hard to get people into it, right? They're like, oh, smoke a cigar, for competing against this stupid blah, blah, blah. I mean, I had the same approach when I did it 7 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
It's
kind of ridiculous. Try to it takes a lot of attention, and I'm how many minutes am I at?
You won officially 1 minute and 53 seconds ago.
But I'm only 26 minutes in.
26 minutes in.
And I'm already way ahead of my time from yesterday, because right around this time, a little bit further down, I was at 40 minutes. So
I think you're not concentrating enough, and we're talking.
Cheaters,
right?
bragging. Are there rules for bragging about how you started early?
No.
You can practice as much as you want.
Absolutely.
Listen,
as long as
I got
you
a
can
whole
back it up,
box.
it's not bragging.
Listen, I feel like my ego is in serious trouble because I got about 9 more cigars. And this week, I don't even know if I can make it through my Instagram post because I'm going to be trying to light and smoke cigars slowly all week. I need more matches.
This is
I need more matches.
It's painful to try to slow, you're basically on the verge of not smoking. You're trying not to smoke, but then you are trying to smoke a little bit, which is weird.
That's exactly right.
I like smoking cigars, and I love the flavor that come out of them. This is a good cigar. This got rated 91 by Cigar Journal. This is not a bad cigar.
It's a great cigar. It's the main thing, and I've heard this phrase used ages ago, talking about cigar smoking in general, not the competition itself. One of my professors, mentors, said, when you're enjoying a cigar, A, you should be, smoking cold smoke, and B, you should be dancing on the edge of it going out.
Cold. So here's my thing that I got from that: cold smoke.
What is cold smoke though?
But I'll say what I think is a lot of people overheat the cigar. Puff, 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 hot, hot, hot. That ember's getting so hot, you're burning all the oils and sugars that you want to be tasting before they even reach your mouth. Mm-hmm. Because that's all the smoke is doing, is bringing the oils and sugars in your mouth, and that's what you want to taste. So if you give it 2 minutes in between every puff, that cigar is going to taste totally different if you puff every 30 seconds.
But does it start at the puffing, or does it start at the lighting? Which I know is probably a whole nother conversation.
I think it starts at the puffing.
Flame matches.
It starts at both. Okay. I'll go back to my mentor. They said lighting the cigar, right? Which is one of the many reasons I love using a soft flame. They say, look, lighting the cigar is foreplay, which I started laughing about. And I'm like, okay, obviously he's making the joke. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Don't rush foreplay. So take your time when you're lighting a cigar. Yeah, if it takes a minute to do it, if it takes a minute to do it, you should take your time, right? Don't take a blowtorch or a quad torch and go, which is fine. If you want to do that, absolutely.
Don't do that, guys.
Your cigar, it's your cigar. You can do whatever you want. But if you're going to invest 60 minutes, an hour and a half or more, take the extra minute to like properly light it and make it work, right? When it comes to puffing, another thing that he told me, which I try to do, I admit sometimes I just power through it because I'm, thinking about world politics and stuff. Seriously, you light it and you take 2 or 3 puffs to get the embers right to actually have the flame jump on your cigar and like go up. And at that point, I let it sit for a minute because it's a shelf, right? It's a finished product, but when you introduce that much, it's a shock to the product itself. Especially if you end up, one of the good ways of knowing whether or not you over torch the cigar. And I know this is going to be like, pink Himalayan salt as far as tasting notes. If you get burnt cherries, and it really does taste like burnt cherry,
Really?
you basically burnt your tobacco, like over torched it. Which is why I laugh when I read reviews from well-known reviewers, and they're like, "Oh, burnt cherry notes," and I'm like, "You torched that tobacco."
Okay,
which again, yeah.
So question though, for those whose palates aren't developed enough to be able to pick up on notes, let alone the cherry, what's another indication that you've overheated your tobacco?
So I always blab about retro healing cigars, which is right. There's 2 ways you perceive flavors. One is orthonasal, right? Your actual palate, right? Your tongue, your roof, everything that's in your mouth, and then retronasal. So you push the smoke from the back of your throat and through your nasal passage up to here. Your sensory plate is up here. And the easiest way you want to be impressive when you go wine tasting in Temecula. Tilt your head down and listen to the way my voice changes. So if you tilt your head down like this, it'll basically push the air itself will push the chemical molecules that carry the aromas, right, all the way up here, which where your sensory bulb is. So with cigars, you take a puff. Obviously, don't do that with cigars. You're going to look like a weirdo. So unless you're doing something something super, like if we're doing blind tastings and stuff, and someone's trying to kind of be like, hey, test you, like, yeah, use that as a note as well. Typically, your sensory bulb picks up about 5 to 10%, depending on how sensitive you are and how much you get in there and stuff like that. Now, by changing the way the oxygen flow, right, changing it by like this, you can get between 20 to 25% more, or 20 to 25% total, which is 2 to 4 times more depending on how sensitive you are. Very easy, very, very cheap trick. And again, if you want to impress someone that you're with, be like, oh yeah, I totally pick up ripe red cherries and smells like grandma's apple pie on a windowsill on an August afternoon. 79 degrees.
Now we're getting into flavor composition.
I'm being serious a little bit.
Championship. Come on.
But you know what? That could be very useful in this space for people who are trying to learn how. I mean, I'm not going to pretend to know how to light my cigar with cedar or matches. Y'all saw me struggling.
Really? That's something to
I was
practice, though. It's fun.
I was on the struggle bus, okay, with the matches. So and then on the back end, me realizing when it went out that not only did it feel like my cigar was burning with simply the binder and or the filler, but it was also really hard on the outside. So it's like, okay, these are things that I can be, or we all could be cognizant of. Hey, wait a minute. Was I tasting cherry while I was burning this filler down to the boots? I don't know. Maybe I was. Probably was. But it could work for, practice.
Okay, so when you're lighting the cigar, Vlada, when I use a torch, I like to get the full ember going before I even take a puff. I'm not one of those types of people that puts the cigar in and puffs while it's being torched. I get the cigar fully lit, and I can tell because it starts to form an ash. But with matches, especially if they're short, and they're not the long ones, it's like, okay, I got to puff on that cigar to get it lit because I'm going to go for 6 to 8 of these before I even get it lit. Even on the long ones, I feel like, I did it. I puffed on the cigar when I lit with a match to get it going. Is that good or bad?
Good question.
So I'll when it comes to matches, I'll cheat. I'll use 2 or 3 matches right off the bat, and I will puff. Like, I will try to toast it initially, but if they're short ones, you're kind of sold. So it's kind of like you gotta make it work before you lose. Your fingers get burnt. So yeah, I mean.
But you're also then okay. So if you do puff when you're lighting, the key again is to take slow and level puffs, not the quick short ones, because you can pull different lengths of basically ignition into different parts of that leaf because some is going to burn hotter or better than others. So I don't want like a wavy start.
Did you learn this in your practice yesterday?
Yes, I did.
Hey, don't hate on the man being prepared, then.
Man,
I'm salty. I own it. I'm salty.
Come on.
Because I made
sure you had cigars 24 hours in advance. I paid extra for rush shipping from small batch cigars. And guess what? You didn't take advantage of it? That's not my problem.
You're right. I just, you know what? I assumed, and that's my bad.
I know.
That we was going to start on a clean slate. That's what I thought.
That you're competing against a rookie. Okay? I may look like one, but I'm not a rookie. I am a rookie. I'm totally a rookie. I'm learning so much, though.
No, you're doing really well,
videos, man.
So the other thing when it comes to like picking up how hot your cigar is, a very simple way is, does it burn your nose when you puff through it? Now let's get through this, right? So we talked about the sensory plate up here, right? I'll bring it back to wine. When you're wine tasting and you push right, those notes, the aromas for your nose, you might get a little bit of a tingling, like it's alcohol or something, and it kind of feels like a tingling, really, like a burning sensation, right? Now, the hard portion for a lot of people is to differentiate, no different than cigars, right? The main difference with cigars is that the smoke, it's going to be hot, however you cut it, right? It's not going to be liquid, it's not going to be cold, it's not going to be room temperature.
Do you have any questions?
So, with that, when you push it through your nose, you got to learn to differentiate the tingling that comes from right here, like at the tip of your nose, that comes from white or black pepper, right? Coming from the actual tobacco portion, whether it's fermented that way, whether it's something that's like very terroir driven, like Nicaragua typically will give you a little bit of spice. There's a myriad of different ways why a cigar will be spicy. Or does it actually burn? Now, the other caveat there is obviously you want to push the smoke slowly through your nose, right? You don't want to push it aggressively through your nose because that's going to burn even if it's cold. If you're smoking, you want to exhale about 90% and then let that 5 to 10% push some of it through your nose and then release the rest. Are you still going, Rob?
I'm still going, and I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but you can see the smoke coming out the foot of the cigar.
Yeah.
I can't see it from here, but I'll trust you on that. I know Ben is looking very, very shifty at you, but that's okay.
It's good. I just blew out of my nose here, and it was good. It was cool. It didn't hit me, like sharp. It was perfect. Am I at 40 minutes?
You are at 39 minutes and almost 40 minutes.
So I can ash pretty soon.
Yep, you can ash now too. You'll get a.
No, I don't want to. Minute penalty. Come on, get out of here. Look at this judge. He's like, no, you can ash now if you want. I'll lock you down for a 1 minute penalty.
So when we did it, the
Russian? Was it?
That was my best Vlada accent. I gave it a little bit more. I don't even know. Vlada, where are you from?
I'm Serbian, so I can pull off. And it's funny. So my accent is hopefully not as perceptible, but whenever someone listens to me speaking Serbian, my natural tone of voice is much deeper than this. and I had to adjust it a little bit. And I intentionally have a higher pitched voice when I'm speaking English, a different tone of voice when I speak Spanish, and my natural tone of voice when I speak Serbian. And the reason for that is, my background is hospitality, right? Now, if a guy named Vlad comes to you at a table and asks, "What kind of wine would you want?" with a thick fucking accent, oh, pardon me, what would your reaction be? And I know, because my first year here, the reaction was, "We'll buy whatever you want."
So I can't understand you.
No. My English has always been completely fluent and no real issues. It's just it comes off. I sound like a bad guy from Rocky, basically, like Dolph Lundgren. He dies, basically. Yeah, that kind of thing, right?
You sound very like, "Don't mess with me."
Kind of thing, right? And you're in a hospitality place. We're trying to do a great thing, and people kind of like, you see people's reaction and be like, "What?" I have to adjust it to pitch my voice.
Oh my God, I think I'm out.
"40 minutes, 30 seconds, Rob.
I'm out, you guys. I can't. Oh, man. Come on.
It's okay. You did well.
Now, Vlad, tell him he did a good job in Serbian.
Sjajno.
Thank you.
Anyway, we did the first one we ever did, which really got me hooked on the whole thing, is we did it in Serbia, right? And you could still smoke at the time. Oh, you see how you burned it? So
it kind of started to tunnel. It wasn't burning the wrapper anymore. It's not good. It's trying to get it all.
We should have puffed it a little bit more.
I could tell that ash. I was trying to get to the point where I could ash and then get some oxygen back in there, and I just dropped the ball.
Tactical decision, right? That was your. You could have even taken that 1 minute, because again, if there's 15, 20 people left.
Oh, I should have taken the minute penalty.
Again, if you were going to go out and it was questionable, take the penalty.
Right.
Okay.
It's not the end of the world.
Strategy.
1 minute. Yeah, but it's not the end of the world. 1 minute is, it's completely doable. 20 minutes, I mean, that's a bit questionable.
Yeah, right.
So then does your 1 minute turn into like 50 seconds? And is there an indicator based on your encyclopedia knowledge of when to transfer that 1 minute to 50 seconds? Because, and I mean, I know I probably sound like I'm nitpicking, but in testing it out, yes, like between the matches and the roasting and then the slow puffing while you're pulling the fire up, which, by the way, didn't work for me because psychologically the slow puffing with the matches didn't work. I go fast. So maybe about an inch and a half when he got to the place where it was slowing down, not knowing that it was only burning the filler at that point. Do you decrease? Do you speed up your puffing?
Yeah. I mean, the main point is to stay lit, right? Regardless of, we lit, regardless of how long it takes. The main competition, I mean, look, who cares? Your time might be 35 minutes, but you might be the only person left who's still lit. Who cares, right? Like, yeah, hypothetically, you're still be the winner because you're the last person who stayed lit. I remember we did this one in Pasadena in 2018, I think. Yeah, 2018. So this Cuban lady she had this much burnt, like an inch of her cigar burnt, an hour and change in.
Oh my gosh!
What?
Everybody. So the reasoning for that particular cigar had a little bit of a plug. It was a little tighter rolled at the bottom, and she was basically just getting wisps of smoke, which is fine. She's like, "This is perfect for me." But again, she's an hour in. The cigar there's this much left of the cigar that's on smoke. She's basically ahead of everybody by, she's on lap 7. Everybody's still at lap 4.
Right.
So I tell her, I'm like, look, speed up your puffing. Make sure you stay lit. She's like, no, I can keep going. And I'm like, look, pop up, because everybody's, in their second or last third, and you're, halfway through the first. Like, you can afford to do that. And she actually ended up going out about 10 minutes later because she didn't puff enough. And I'm like, speed up your puffing. The point of it is to stay lit.
Right.
Yes.
And you're way
Like,
ahead of everyone because you only have a little bit of ash. And
exactly. She
you
could
that.
afford to do that. The funny part is the winning time was an hour and 37 minutes, I think.
She totally had enough.
She had, not only did she have enough, she could have done it for 2 hours plus easily.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie. When you were mentioning that to her, well, not then, but now, before you got finished explaining it, even though you were telling her what to do, what it sounded like was a conflict between slow smoking and visually what I understand the cigar ash is supposed to be. Does that make sense? Like, I'm thinking, okay, well, I only have this much. I'm clearly smoking, but I have this whole cigar. I'm supposed to slow smoke it. Visually, it's like, nah, I don't know about that.
You're right.
I feel like there was a struggle between what to understand mentally and what I was seeing visually.
You're right. The thing is, right, the point of the game, under quotes, is to stay lit. Yes, the longer, if you have this much and Rob has this much, you're ahead of him in terms of how much you smoked, i.e., you have less hypothetical time. But if Rob goes out at any point, that's it. You could still win.
Okay.
Right? So the point is to just stay lit. And if you're ahead of everybody so much, you really shouldn't, you really shouldn't risk trying to get better time. Also, I totally forgot about my coffee.
It's looking good. So, in wrapping this up, basically all of our first reactions was, what? Smoking? Really?
Yeah.
Why? This just sounds ridiculous. Am I right, everyone, on that same page?
100%. The first one I ever did, again, 7 years ago when I met Marco, we went to this spot in Belgrade, and there was I think 15 or 16 of us, and Darren was there as well, who was the record holder at the time. So in Serbia,
hang on real quick. Darren is Darren Cholfi.
Darren Cholfi from Principal Cigar.
He owns Principal Cigars. He's the United States world record holder, as well as a world record holder of the overall smoking, 7 times, right? Doesn't he have?
Correct. Yeah. He had multiple records, and he was probably one of the most prominent early champions. Let's call it that. He's done really well. And when we were in Serbia,
show them the website.
We're kind of we started smoking, and people are looking at this from the side and like, oh, this is kind of weird. What are these guys doing? And once it got to the last 5 or 6 people, tables next to us started making bets, full on, people rooting for their favorites, people making side bets. It just turned into this completely crazy situation where people got so excited that I knew Marco was onto something, and the people who attend are really phenomenal people. Okay, so 4 hours, right? 220, almost 4 hours, 3 hours and almost 4 hours for smoking time. He's had 17 wins, as you can see, finalist multiple times, and he's done a fantastic job overall. He's had 7 world records, and he's great to just at least watch him do it.
What was the top one? So 225 minutes and 55 seconds gets to what now? I gotta do that.
Almost 4 hours. So 3 hours, 45 minutes, or 45 minutes and 55 seconds. Right? Is my math correct? 60 times 3, 180 plus 45, or no, 55. No,
3.75 hours.
Yeah, I was right.
Seconds.
Damn, basic math.
Crazy.
Now, Vlad, question. And so this is the first time I have ever smoked a Rocky Patel, ever in life. Secondly, I saw that. Secondly, how does Rocky Patel Mareva become the cigar for the championship? How's that selected? And has there ever been any other cigars chosen to do the contest with?
Yeah. So initially, the test cigar or the competition cigar was the Monty Number 4, right? One of the world's most popular cigars at the time. Great cigar overall. For a couple of years, Jeremy was sponsoring the events with his Club Mareva line, or what is now Casagli. Marco's club itself is called Club Mareva, split, so it was named after the club. Mareva is a Corona-sized cigar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then General made the Macanudo for 3 years, I believe. The Macanudo, Macanudo Mareva, which was the Cigar Smoking Championship one. And then Rocky Patel started making it 2020 or 2019?
2019, because that's when COVID got
2019.
introduced.
That's right. So 2019, Marco finds a partner, and they work on the blend and things from there. It does help having a good partner that has a big footprint. I have to be honest, like we just couldn't do it. If you do 117 events times, let's call it 100 cigars each. And it's a lot more than 100 cigars.
Right.
We're a tiny, small, microscopic boutique company. Like, we just don't have an extra 30, 50,000 cigars to sign. General and Rocky have been good partners, as far as I think for Marco. And then I'm surprised that's the first Rocky smoke. It is definitely on the fuller side for as far as Rockies go for me.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that cigar is also really hero heavy. It does tend to burn a little bit slower. Plus, it gives you a little bit of a nicotine kick. So it's a good cigar. I've given it to my friends who definitely smoke fuller cigars,
Mm-hmm.
and they love it.
So why a Mareva size or Corona size versus a Robusto or Toro?
That's the cigar they smoke. So the whole thing started. Marco tells a much better story than I do. He's a much better storyteller. He started. It was him and his friend, right? And they kind of made it a joke. They were like, "Let's see who can smoke this long." And it was a Monty Number 4, right? So Mareva. And again, the 2 matches rule comes from using the 2 matches that they had. They used a straight cut because that's what they had on hand. Basically they started competing, and everybody around them started cheering and getting into this, getting invested into 2 friends, competing just for the hell, right? No real reason. It was a friendly competition, and that's how it started, I think.
Wow.
2 guys,
So,
one cigar each, 2 matches. That's it.
Just
that's it.
Nice.
Well, this is fun. I mean, obviously, if you're out there and you think, wow, this is ridiculous, you're not alone. We all are thinking that. But then you actually start doing it and you're like, wow, this is interesting. This is teaching me new things about the way I smoke cigars, how I light them, how I puff on them,
Mm-hmm.
how fast I smoke. I think it's interesting. I'm going to be at the United States Finals in Pittsburgh. We're going to film some stuff, so there's going to be more content of this. Vlada, you're going to be there as a judge.
I'm hopefully going to be there as a judge as well. I'm just waiting to hear back if they're going to choose me or someone else. Hopefully it's me.
Hopefully it's you.
Vote for Vlad.
Vote for Vlad.
If you're in Southern California, you have La Biblioteca in Orange County on the 21st. And if you're in Northern California, the qualifying event is on the 18th at Cigars Limited. And I'll be the judge of both of those.
Go back to the website real quick, because there is a spot there where you guys can go to see what competition is near you. Matt, I think you just need to broadcast the website real quick.
And the website is, there we go, cswcnews.com. So cswcnews.
Cigar Smoking World Championship. So cswcnews.com. Go to the top of the website, click on season 2021. Once you click there, you can click on what state you're in, or country. If you look, let's find United States. I think it's back to the left. One more time to the left. And there's one more time. There's the United States. Click more info. Right there, obviously that watch that's in the center, that's like a grand prize winner. And then you can scroll down and you can see all the locations and the times and the dates. You can keep going, keep scrolling down. Obviously, we're at the 13th, so the 14th, there's going to be one at Rock Patel Lounge in Illinois. Keep scrolling down, and there's just going to be tons of these. And you can enter these. I don't know if you can still enter, but you can enter these later on, maybe next year.
So you do have to just contact the organizers, and if there's room, you can jump
There
in.
might be room. So if you're interested at all in trying your hand, contact the local one near you. We are actually going to be at Club Leaf and Bean, the one that was just before the finals there. If you scroll back up, we're going to be at that one right there. We're going to be there checking that one out. And then we're going to go into the finals and see what it's all about. So I hope this was interesting. If you have questions about it, shoot them down in the comments. I appreciate Ben, Vlada. Thank you guys so much for joining me on a Friday smoke. We're slow smoking.
Hey, that was super fun. Thanks again. I was going to join you, but I ran out of cigars and fuel in the same week. So this is a complete unbelievable. A guy who sells cigars is out of both cigars and lighters.
Yeah. Well, your cigars flew off the shelf at PCA, so yeah, not surprised. Ben, thank you so much for joining me and competing and being gracious enough to lose to my rookiness.
Lose? That's okay. I want a rematch.
All right. Here it is. Let's go. All right. Thank you all. Have a great weekend.
Thanks again, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend.
Bye, guys.